Hi guys, it's Amy with Gingerbud Creations. Thank you for stopping by today. I want to show you 3 different ways to stencil. And if you've ever tried to do stenciling, then you know sometimes they slide around. It's hard to really get the effect you want. So I'm going to give you 3 different ways that I use to do some stenciling. Okay, so I really like scrapbook.com, and especially when they have their specials where there's free items that you can put in, and a lot of the times you don't have to have an order minimum, so it's kind of nice to go ahead and pick up a few of the things I need, like glue and low tack tape and whatnot, and then just pick up the free item. And this is a 3-pack of Vicki, I think it's Boutin or Boutin, stencils called Where To Next, and these are the 3 patterns that is in here. So we're gonna go ahead, and I haven't even opened this yet, so you guys will be seeing what these stencils do along with me in real time. We'll figure it out. Sorry for the noise. Let me just get rid of some of these. Okay. Let me just open these up and I'll be right back with you. So the first stencil we have almost looks like seashells to me. That's my first impression. So what you'd want to do is a little tip. Whenever you're ink blending and you're working with ink, you will be going off of your paper. So you want to make sure that you have something underneath that you have something underneath that'll protect it from the ink. So for me, what I have here is I usually try to make a little color chart of my alcohol markers so I can see how they look and what the colors are and pick them out. So I laminated this, and then what I can do is then just flip it over, put my paper down, and because it's laminated, it'll be very easy cleanup. Okay, so my first tip, my first way is to just use some washi tape. I just happen to have a wide roll that I really just don't use at all. So I kind of keep it on handy for these kind of things. And just kind of like Scotch tape, you're just gonna put it right down, just like that. Then what you can do is get your paper, line it up, and then again, come in with some washi tape and just tape down your corners. Washi tape is also pretty resilient if you're just using it to tape a few things down to non-stick surfaces. So you can just go ahead and put this washi tape right back onto, you know, like let's say the back of your laminated paper, and then just peel it off when you're ready to use it again. And then you can just throw it away when it loses its stick. So I feel like I have as good of a lineup as I'm gonna get. So let's just go ahead, since this is kind of beachy, I am going to do some Distress Oxide in Peacock Feathers and Distress Oxide in Broken China. I'm using the Distress Oxides because they are very heavily pigmented. So when you are blending with them, you don't need a lot of ink on your blending tool. So let me show you. All right, so I'm just gonna put a little bit here. And when you're blending, you kind of want to start off to the side and then come onto the paper so that you aren't getting an extreme concentration. I mean, you are here, but with the Distress Oxides, they're a little more creamier, so they don't tend to streak as much as, let's say, an ink-based or a dye-based ink versus a pigment-based ink. So I'm just gonna come in here, and I'm very, on purpose, I'm running up into the next row. And then I'll come in with the peacock feathers. I'm going to come in a little bit above that row so that when I come back, I can do a little bit of blending to have those two colors meet, but where they aren't so strong. And if you do have a little bit of a darker area, it looks like the pigment concentrated in there, just come in from the other side, and that'll just help even stuff out. Also, when you're using creamy pigments or distress oxides, you really don't need to work that hard. You just kind of let the brush do the work for you. Okay, and then you can see the washi tape is just helping stick everything down. And then we'll do one more layer up here. I find that when I'm ink blending, I also really enjoy using the distress oxides and pigments because you get a lot of bang for your buck, so to speak. I feel like you get a lot of color and it makes quick work of your stenciling and your ink blending. So let me put these off to the side so I don't put my hand in any ink, which has happened quite often. So then we're just going to peel off the stencil. Ah, this is always my favorite part. Put that off to the side for cleaning. And there we have. Take your washi tape slowly off. There you go. And then we have this beautiful blended paper background that we can use in card making. All right, so let me just put this off to the side here. And our second method, I'm going to be using the Vicki Make Art Station. Make Art Stay Station, get it? Cute little play. What I like about this board is that it's metal. It's two-sided, and you have your grid on this side, so it's really good for lining up if you're doing layers. You have a magnetic ruler that has the 0 in the center so that it's really easy to line everything up when you are, say, making cards, layering. The magnet of the ruler helps your paper stay down, and also this comes with 4 magnets, round magnets. So then what you do is you grab your piece of paper that you want to make a design with. And for me, I prefer actually to use the other side because sometimes the inks do stain. A lot of times it will stain, especially if you're using pigment. So I just try to make sure that I do my ink blending on the back of this so it's easy cleanup. Go ahead and reuse my piece of washi tape, and I'm just going, doesn't really matter, put it on the back. And I know that I could use these. Let me tell you a small little downfall of this is that it is hard to kind of get your paper to stick down with magnets, including with the ruler, if you're blending, because you're constantly having to move the magnets around. And let me show you what I mean. So if I put this guy down and I put my magnets on, I can tell you already from experience that when I am going to be blending, I'm going to run into these magnets. They're just going to get in the way. So one thing you can do just to prevent that is you just move, honestly, you just move them around. You just try to move the magnets around as you're working. You can use the ruler, let's say, to come down and just kind of help a part stick, but this ruler doesn't really work well to keep the stencils down. You want to use these stronger corner magnets. So I'll show you with this, with like magnets, I'll show you how to use this with stenciling. So I think I'm going to go with some picked raspberry first. I'm not really concerned too much about the ink settling on my stencils and clean them up afterwards, because you can clean them up afterwards. No worries. I don't know if you're noticing, but my stencil is lifting up here. So what you want to do is just kind of make sure your stencil doesn't move as you are blending and using your ink blending tool. Just kind of use your hand to stabilize it. If it does move too much, you might have a hard time realigning it, and you'll have to go back and do everything over. You might have to actually just scrap the piece. So you just want to make sure that your stencil does not lift. All right, now let's see. I'll keep this off to the side. Let's take off the broken china and let's bring in our wilted violet. So again, we want to come above this concentration. You want to make sure there's a little bit of white space so that when you come back, it'll be a very clean blend. So now, without getting more ink, now we can just kind of blend it right into the pink. And then we have a nice concentration of purple. And then our final color, we'll go back to, I really love the peacock feathers. These three colors are probably my most used. I'm not a pink person, but I do like the picked raspberry with the wilted violet. As I'm looking on the screen, it's almost like you can tell, I'm noticing that my blend needs to be, there we go. Another tip on your pigments is you have a little bit more time of working with them. So if you do need to do a little bit of a stronger color, the ink is still able to be manipulated and it doesn't dry as fast. That guy just wants to roll. Okay, let's come in with our peacock feathers and we will do, so, oh, you'll notice the magnet's in my way. It's all right, we're just gonna work with it. And then we'll bring that down into the purple. Make sure everything looks nice and even. Okay, now I think I'm pretty happy with this. So let's just go ahead and do a reveal. Ta-da! Oh, that is awesome. Ooh, I really like that. I don't know if you've ever noticed some of Lawn Fawn's papers, but they have this kind of design and then they always have it in beautiful pastel colors. So I really like this stencil. Oh, that looks so cool. All right, yes, I am tooting my own horn. That was awesome. All right, let me show you one more method I have of stenciling, and by far this is the newest and to me, and it is my favorite. So this is a stick and stamp mat. Now, Brutus Monroe, I think is the company name, came out with one about 1.5, 2 years ago, something like that. This is a knockoff of that. These fit in your MISTI, your original MISTI, so it's great for stamping. But what it is this mat is sticky. It's like a Cricut mat. If you work with Cricut or Silhouette, it's like a cutting mat. So it does have a film. You do not want to throw this film away at all. Keep this film. So I like to set it off to the side. And then what you do is this is already set up for this little square here is set up for an A2 card. And because it's sticky, it's going to hold your card in place. And I must be oh no, this inner line, sorry. That is my A2. Okay, there we go. So now you are stuck down, it's good to go. Second favorite thing about this is that because it's sticky all the way around, I can line up my stencil and then my stencil itself sticks to the mat. Okay, can we just say, I do not know why it took me forever to even know this existed, but hallelujah that I figured this out, or that I found it, because I love this mat. There actually came with 2 of them, and totally worth it. I think it was like $8, totally worth the money. Okay, let's go in with, I'm not sure, this looks like a sunburst, but I might just go ahead and throw everybody off and do some different colors than a traditional sunburst, because why not? That's what we can do. So let's start with the broken china. And yeah, nobody can tell me what to do, so I'm going to use that as my sun. Okay. So what I also like about the stick and stamp mat is not only can you get your paper in the exact position on your MISTI or your stamp positioner if it's if you have a different brand, generally it will fit in the original MISTI. So if you have something that works to those specifications, this will work on yours. But also you can clean this very, very easily, and I'll show you. First, let's do our blending. And I'm actually just going to try and use what's left on my foam here. I'm using the blending dome foam of the foam. I do like these better than the actual flat sponges. I feel like you get less streakage, and you can tell it's just a lot more even coverage when you are using the foam blenders. So now let's do the only other Distress Oxide color. I only own 5 colors, so today we're using them all, and it's Hickory Smoke. I have a lot of Distress inks, but the Oxides, I need to step up my Oxide game. All right, let's start from the top. I've never really, since I've never used a stencil, I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna go. So let's just experiment. I don't understand color theory. I'm not a color theorist. I do not know if I'm choosing the right colors to mix or not. I just like what I like, and I'll use it. And if it doesn't work, oh well. We don't do perfect. No perfection allowed here. The great May Helms says we don't do perfect. I don't do perfect. All right. So now, just kind of looking on my screen. All right, we're gonna see what that looks like. Let's move that out of the way so I don't get myself too dirty. Oh, look, I'm pretty happy. Not too bad. I didn't get dirty. So let's peel off our stencil. Place that off to the side. And there, oh my goodness. Okay, so when you are removing papers off the stick and stamp mat, just turn it upside down, kind of like Cricut mat, and slowly peel it away. If you try to pull too hard up, you can actually end up distorting your card and making it curl in ways that it's hard to get that curl out. So you always want to make sure, if you're working with like these sticky mats, that you offload your paper, just flip it upside down and slowly hold your paper down as you pull away. There is the third stencil and the third method that I like to use, or the different tools I like to use for stenciling. So now let me just show you how easily this cleans up. So I'm just using some water and a microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to give it a little spray here. Take my cloth, And literally, look at that. Now, I will say, it is my experience that reds and yellows stain like the dickens. So if you are using a red or yellow pigment, it might stain, but it's okay. So we're just gonna let this dry for a little bit. And let's bring in this. So again, this is laminate. So even though this was the first thing we used, the first method, it's had some time for the pigment ink to dry. So all we're gonna do is spray it and voila, look at that. Done. So that's how I like to clean my boards or my backgrounds. Let that dry. How's that doing? Okay, so this is sticky again. So what you can do is just kind of fold it up like a taco, like this. And then just stick it middle down, fold your sides out. And now you have your cover back on to help protect it from dust or any of that. And let's do our final cleaning so you can see of our board, our magnet board, our art station. Okay, look at that. Now I do see a little bit of a ghosting here. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. And again, that is why I tend to do my ink blending on the back of this board. That way the grids and the printing on the front aren't so bad. I also keep my magnets kind of near my workstation because it doesn't hang too well with the magnets on it. It makes it extra heavy, so I just hang this up next to my desk. And then what you can do is the same exact method to just clean them, to clean your stencils. You really just need some water. Now I will say that it's completely safe and fine if you want to like put them in a little bit of warm water, like a little pan with warm water and dish soap. That's fine. You do you, how you want to clean these. Me, I tend to be lazy, so I would just rather wipe them with there until they're looking a little grungy, and then I'll do a deep clean and it works better. Okay, so there you go. All that's off, so let that air dry. And then you guys can see this one. So I'm trying to do them in order so they all have approximately the same time to just have the ink on them, so you can see how easily everything just cleans up. And I always like to flip it over just in case any of the ink got in the back, or when you're spraying it with water, it could run underneath. So you just want to make sure, especially with the pigment inks and the distress oxides, that you clean it off really well, because they can tend to hold on to the pigments, or the pigments themselves don't want to dry. So you might run the risk of transferring the ink onto other projects that you didn't intend to do. All right, that's it. That's all you have to do to clean your stencils. So here are one more look of, actually, try this off one more time. Okay, just don't want my paper wet. So now, this was our first one, that seashell looking one. Here was the rainbow, and then we have like our sunburst. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got a little inspiration to go and try some stenciling. If you haven't, you really don't need too much other extras when you're stenciling. So just go for it, explore. I hope you guys have some fun. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you later. Bye.